Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and the preview for Bournemouth against Manchester United in what could be a huge game in settling the top four race. I do feel that if Ten Hag gets this right and we beat Bournemouth, we've got it done, haven't we? I mean, we'd have two games at home against Chelsea and Fulham where we just need 3 points. Remember, we just need 6 points. We've got 66. If we get to 72, Liverpool can't do it. They can only get 71. So the Bournemouth game this Saturday afternoon is absolutely massive. We'll get into that. We'll go with how we're going to line up. We'll look at that. A few shocks in there. But also, I think we've got to start looking at not just getting over the line now. He's actually got Ten Hag's got a bit of a weird story because he's got to... Normally, if you've only got to go over the line, it's just about getting over the line. But he's actually got to try and muster up a way of playing well in preparation for that huge game at Wembley against a very, very good Man City side. So he's got to start thinking a little bit long-term as well, which I think creates an issue at centre-back where Luke Shaw's got to come in at left centre-back. We'll talk about that in a minute. Rahul, welcome to the Members Club. Now, before we get into everything, Rashford returns, a bit of breaking news as well. Thankfully, not a lot around the sale, although I'm sure some people will talk about it. I'm tired out of it, and I don't think we're going to get anything anytime soon, although there is a bit of news about it, unfortunately. Let me just tell you this. This has amazed me in the last 48 hours. Love the channel, says Grant. Thank you very much. TUS Predictor. We do it every game that Man United play. How does it work? Well, there's a link in the description, or you can scan the QR code. How it works is this. If I go into it, let me have a look. More... Okay, get it up, and basically what happens is we're getting you into the game. Okay, Bournemouth versus Manchester United, 2,500 pot size. You basically pick from 10 scenarios. Full-time result, will it be a win, draw, or a win for Bournemouth, or a win for Man United? Both teams to score, yes or no. Over 2.5 goals, yes or no. First half result, will it be a win, draw, or a win for Man United? Bournemouth to have over 3.5 corners, yes or no. Man United to have over 5.5. 10 questions, basically, yes or no answers. That's how the TUS Predictor works, right? Listen to this. This is remarkable. This is life-changing. This is what the United Stand can do. Last week, the prize pot reached an amazing 5,500. The minimum prize pot each week is 2,500, but the more of you that enter, the more the prize pot rises and the more there is to win. Congratulations to Todd Matthew, who received 5,500 jackpot last week by getting all 10 predictions right, and he was the only person to get it. So Todd won 5,500 on the Wolves game last week. Incredible. That's life-changing money. £5,500. If you want to play, you can play for fun. You can play for free. There is a free version as well. Scan the QR code or go through the link in the description. But if you'd like to win a share of the pot, which can go up to that amount, then you can play through the paid version as well. Link is in the description. Smash the link in the description or scan the QR code next to me. You've got to be over 18 to play and always gamble responsibly, of course. I mean, I just can't believe that. When I got told it, I was like, what? 5,500? Give him 2,000 and give me 3,000. He'd have been happy with 2,000. You're all thinking it. I thought it. I was like, just tell him he's got 2,000. Like, he'll be well happy. He'll be over the moon. And 3,500, you know. But obviously that would be corrupt and not what we want to do. But no, of course, we've got no say in that. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, Todd. What are you going to do with it? I think it's got to be worth a super chat. At least a super chat. Come on. I think 100 quid super chat. Maybe, yeah, okay. Anyway, look, get on with the show. If you want to play that, links in the description. Scan the QR code. I mention it because I just couldn't believe he was the only. First of all, I couldn't believe he was the only one who got all of them right. But then the pot was that big as well. So magnificent. I've took more careful. But the thing is, I could win it. I've took care this week. I actually was just going bum bum bum. Sam says that 5k is not life changing. Isn't it great to be rich, Sam? £5,000 is apparently not life changing, mate. You don't understand how what poverty is and how people struggle. Trust me, £5,000 to most people is life-changing at that moment. I'm not saying you can go and bloody retire on it, you prat. Although he doesn't play, it's good to have Donny back. Only giving him 2,000 seems very Glazer-like, Kyle. It was a joke, Kyle. It's called a joke. Something the Glazers would never do. Anyway, let's move on with the show. Manchester United against Bournemouth. Let's go and have a look straight away at how I think we should line up in this game. So that's my Manchester United lineup. Let me tell you a bit about Bournemouth. It's a place on the south coast of England. Their major rival is Portsmouth. They have a ground with 11,500. Don't get me started on that. They've got a pier. No, let's talk about Bournemouth Football Club. So, Bournemouth Football Club basically are a revelation this year. They should be relegated. I think everyone thought they would be relegated. And actually what's happened to them is they have obviously stayed in the league. And that is fantastic. And Gary O'Neill has done a great job. They're safe. This means that really they are on the beach, on Bournemouth Beach, and Manchester United need to go and beat them. As I said at the start of the show, get 3 points here. You only need 3 more against Fulham and Chelsea, and we've got top 4 regardless of whether Liverpool win all their games. And don't forget, we're a little bit early tonight because Brighton are at Newcastle. Massive game in the top 4 race. We're going to do a watch along on That's Football straight after this. But Man United at Bournemouth, 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday. Absolute joke this is. This is a joke. Remind me about that in a moment. But this is how I would line up Manchester United. I think we've got to start looking at the game and looking at Wembley, looking at Man City, and we haven't really had a lot of rhythm in the last few weeks. And I think against Villa and against Wolves, we got the home wins, but it wasn't as fluid as we'd like it to be. We've somehow, after a very long, hard season, got to start to try find some rhythm again. Casemiro's not been the same player he was 2 months ago. Eriksen's not been the same he was before the injury. A lot of people are looking very tired. But if we want to go toe-to-toe with Man City, we've got to find levels. We've got to find energies. I'd go De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Lindelof and Luke Shaw for this game. But I do want to just drop it in there that we're going to have to, at some point, move Luke Shaw back to left centre-back and start playing Delo or Malacia. Because against Man City, I don't want Lindelof or Maguire playing with Varane. Luke Shaw and Varane played against Haaland in January and they shut him down. I think you've got to get back to Luke Shaw and Varane at some point because it's just not worth playing Lindelof and Varane together. They're not as good as Luke Shaw and Varane. So we've got to get back to Luke Shaw at left centre-back at some point. I don't think we need to do it against Bournemouth. I think actually having Luke Shaw more attacking is important. So I would play Luke Shaw and Lindelof. Into the midfield 3, again, a little bit of a shock here. I would go Casemiro, Fred and Bruno. McTominay is back in training. Sabitzer is out for the season. I would not play Eriksen in this game. I think you're just encouraging Bournemouth to win the midfield battle. I think you've got to put Fred in there for a bit of tenacity and fight and bite, and that's why I would do that. I'm sure he probably will pick Eriksen, but people will point to our away record, and we have been bad away from home this season. And I wonder in how many of those away games we've constructed a midfield that's not balanced. Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro is not balanced. It's not got enough defensive support. So I think Fred needs to play in this game. And let me just say as well, our away record, as bad as people think it is, it's horrific against the top half of the table. But up until West Ham, we hadn't lost to any of the bottom half. In fact, I think we'd beat them all. So our away record against the bottom half is good. Obviously, against the top half, it's bad. And then this myth permeates that we're terrible away from home. We're not. We should be winning this game, and there's more incentive for us to win the game than Bournemouth, who are safe and will just be looking to have a bit of a celebration for their last home game of the season. So I would put Fred in there. I know the thing is with Fred is you never know what you're going to get. And then my front 3 with Rashford back, Rashford off the left, Martial up front, and then Anthony off the right. I mean, that's our best front 3, and we need to try and find some rhythm there. We have to win, says Just Kevin, and I expect us to win. I'm not saying it'll be easy. I think it'll be quite tight. I'm actually going to say 2-0 to Manchester United again. But you can see this going wrong as much as you can see it going right. You can see Bournemouth getting up for it, Man United being lethargic, and they are capable. They are capable of beating us. There's no doubt about that. But at some point, we can't just keep limping over the line. Like this FA Cup and treble is important to the fans, and the players need to lock in on that as well. Like, it's a chance to win a trophy. It's a chance to stop City winning the treble, which they will be remembered for. The 77 side that stopped Liverpool winning the treble and won the FA Cup is, acknowledged for that. So, there's a big, big bounty for Manchester United, and they cannot just let this season drift. They've got to get their energy levels up and get back to where they were a couple of months ago. We have got most of our team fit. I know Martinez won't be back and Sabitzer, but we've got most of the best players we've got available. The squad is what it is, and I think Bournemouth, let's put ourselves in a position where we can enjoy the last 2 games of the season at home to Fulham and Chelsea, and actually, try a few things out. If we don't beat Bournemouth at the weekend, even if we draw with them, I think we're putting ourselves under a lot of pressure for the last 2 games of the season ahead of that FA Cup game. But that's how I would line up. I think that's the way to go. Bournemouth's home record is, I think they're about 16th in the league for their home record. I think they've won 6, drawn 4 and lost 8. So it's not amazing. And I'm confident we'll win it. But the problem is I was confident we were going to beat West Ham. And we didn't. We didn't deserve to beat West Ham as well. So, look, we've had another week off following another week off before the Wolves game. We've not had that all season. I think that's... I think this week will be really big for Man United. I know it's the second week we've had off in between games, but we haven't had that all season. So it's a chance to, you know, when you're tired, your body's willing, but your mind sometimes isn't giving. Well, Man United players have had the opportunity to rest their minds and their body, and it's not a mini break, but it's a bit of a reset to go again for these last 4 games of the season. Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home next Thursday, Fulham at home the Sunday after that, and then the week after that we've got the cup final, which is going to be built. We're not here to build up the cup final, of course, but that FA Cup final is probably going to be the most hyped FA Cup final in quite a while because it's got so much resting on it. It's a Manchester derby, which is, I think, the first time we've ever had a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final. But it's not that. It's going to be billed as the game that decides our own fate, says Savage. It will be Man City going for a treble against Man United, who are the only English club to do a treble. That game is going to be hyped huge. Absolutely huge. And rightly so. And United need to start... if I was a Man United player, I'd be excited about it. I'd be thinking, we're miles off Man City at the moment, but we've got 3 games... and 3 weeks to get ready for this game, and we're going to be ready for it, and that's what they've got to focus on. And if they focus on that game in 3 weeks and up in their levels, getting ready for it, I guarantee you we will see better performances against Bournemouth and Fulham and Chelsea. So I want to see some the result is all that matters in a way on Saturday, but I do want to see us playing with a little bit more rhythm. Ultimately, when we play Man City, they're a very, very good footballing side. Man United, in recent weeks, we've struggled in the final third. Man City have got a good defence. We've got to start working on shapes and movements and pass and move. And we've got to be more expressive in the final third and not be shooting from distance all the time. So I want to see an improvement in how we're playing, and I expect us to beat Bournemouth. Hi, Mark. Off topic, but how would it work with Ineos sponsorship with Spurs and if they are successful to buy Man United, says Nevin? I got no idea. Stopping the treble at all costs, securing top 4 and hopefully full sale of the club. United are on an upward trajectory. Let's go, Glazers out, says Alonso. Look, mate, we're literally, let me just remove that. We're literally, the future of Manchester United is literally a scale at the moment, isn't it? We could win the FA Cup, stop Man City winning the treble and get the owners that we want. We could lose the FA Cup final, Man City win the treble, and the Glazers stay. I mean, it literally is like that at the moment. And there are other combinations, of course. Super chat coming in from Stephen. He says, interesting you went with Lindelof and Varane at centre-back. I would have thought you prefer having Shaw at centre-back again for more balance, says Stephen. Well, I do. I definitely do. But what I'm saying is that I think for this game, we want to beat Bournemouth. And Bournemouth are not as good as Man City. So I would actually put Luke Shaw at left back because I think he gives us more going forward. But I also said that for the FA Cup final, it's got to be Luke Shaw and Varane at centre back. But I think you've got time to work towards that. Bournemouth is a game in itself we can win. And to win, I like Luke Shaw going forward. But as soon as we've won that game, I'd be looking at Chelsea and Fulham, and I'd probably be pulling Luke Shaw back in for those 2 games to play left centre-back so that him and Varane can work together ahead of the FA Cup game, and Malacia or Dalot can work at left-back. Ten Hag's the manager. He might be going, no, against Man City, I want to play Luke Shaw at left-back, and I'm going to play Lindelof or Maguire with Varane at centre-back. But I think Haaland is a beast. Hot take. And I think you've got to play Luke Shaw and Varane against him. It shows how small City was that in all of our FA Cup finals, they never met us. No history, says Joseph. And the next few weeks will finally answer the question, says Joy Boy. Well, Mark, what were you about to say about the game being at 3 p.m, says Ettore? Yeah, I'm going to move on to the news now. But just finally on Bournemouth, I think we'll win 2-0. Get your score predictions in. Massive game. Watch along Saturday afternoon. What I was going to say is that this, and unfortunately, if Luton get promoted, it's the same again. we have this ridiculous thing in the UK where it's called the 3 p.m. blackout on a Saturday afternoon. So the TV stations cannot show any 3 o'clock games, even if they want to, because there's this archaic rule that they think if a fan can't watch their team play at 3 o'clock, they'll go and watch and support their local, grassroots teams, which people don't do. They find alternative ways to watch it. So it's incredible that Manchester United is an English football club, and there are hundreds of thousands of Manchester United fans in this country, but Bournemouth will only give 1,000 away tickets because their ground is only 11,500 capacity. So only 1,000 Manchester United fans can legitimately watch that game on Saturday. It's ridiculous in 2023 that happens. Obviously, if you live outside the UK, it's probably on in Sweden and India and everywhere else. But in the UK in 2023, with all this technology and all this freedom, they still have the most stupid rule going that I thought was a stupid rule when I was a kid. And that was about 60 years ago. So, it's ridiculous. And obviously there are alternatives, and people find those alternatives so that they don't go out and watch, Leyton Orient or Solihull Moors or anything like that. Could Sancho move to the right as Rashford and Garnacho should be on the left next season, says Porik. And there can be no room lacklustre for performances against City. Every player has a job to do for the club and the fans, and we have to stop them at all costs, says Rob. And why is there so much love for Fred? Honestly, he's out of position, doesn't track back, and his passes are horrible, says John. Well, I actually heard something the other day, and I take it with a pinch of salt. But I heard the other day that Fred's up for sale. He hasn't been offered a new contract. He's only got a year left on his contract, and he's up for sale this summer. What I was told is that Ten Hag really likes Fred, but in the since the international break, remember when he wasn't playing much, there's just something that's just not right there anymore. And it could be as simple that Ten Hag realises he's not part of his future plans. But the reason I would play him is because Eriksen away from home. I mean, I think Eriksen and Casemiro against Man City is a mistake. Talking about the Man City game, I think Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro against Man City is a disaster. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do. Do you try and get something out of McTominay? Do you try and get something out of Fred? I mean, Fred on his day can be really good, but in the last few weeks he's been, mainly bad, hasn't he? But this is why we need to buy somebody. If you had a Casido next to Casemiro, you're laughing. If you had a Frankie de Jong next to Casemiro, you're laughing. Unfortunately, we don't really... Eriksen's a good player, but I don't even... I'm going to say it. I've probably said it before, but I'm going to say it. I don't even think Eriksen's a centre midfielder. I've said it. I've been wanting to say it all season. I don't even think Eriksen's a centre midfielder in the Premier League. I think he's an attacking midfielder, which leaves Casemiro overloaded, which when you're at home, you can get away with because you've got 75,000 fans and teams play more defensive. But when you're away from home, you need more than one midfielder. And I don't think Eriksen's a centre midfielder. I think Eriksen's an attacking midfielder. And I think that's why a few times this season away from home, we've had our arse handed on a plate because teams run through us like a hot knife through butter. I like Eriksen. He's a very good player, but I don't think it works having Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro as a midfield three. You need more bite, like Gundogan next to Rodri. Gundogan's an absolute monster in the tackle. Brilliant footballer, but a monster. Regista says Eriksen's better than Fred. Well, it depends what you want. Fred can be a disaster, but he's a better tackler and he's got more physicality. We're severely lacking in that position. And the scary thing is, if Casemiro's injured, we've got nobody. So, and look, I'm not going to jinx this, but what's the betting that over the next few weeks ahead of Man City, we lose players for injury and they're fine? They never get injured. I don't know whether that's... I personally don't think it's to do with anything sinister. I think it's to do with the fact that Pep Guardiola's got 17 top/world-class players that he can rotate against anybody. Like, we can't take Rashford out, really, and play away from home against Everton without him. We can't take Bruno out and do that like they did with De Bruyne at the weekend. He can rotate 17 players and keep them all, ticking along nicely. And they've probably got better fitness and conditioning department as well. We need good ballers. How makes good transitional plays. I understand why Ten Hag loves Rabiot. Is damn good at that and left-footed. Our boss is obsessed with left-footed on the left side of the pitch, says Alden. Thank you. Good point. Playing Eriksen against this City side will be a nightmare. Eriksen is a cut price Modric and he was made to look like an OAP last night, says Nicholas Walker. And we should also watch out for Koku, Gabri, Alex Scott, Sušić, Baturina, Andor, Sotelo, Echeverri, amazing young talented additions to our squad, says Alden. Thank you very much for that. You really tested me there. Anyway, in some news, look, in relation to the sale, I've lost interest. Obviously, it's one of the biggest things that is going to go on in our recent history. But the way the sale has been conducted and the farce that it is, it's become very, very boring. All I know is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is confident, and Qatar are apparently just going to keep bidding until they get the club, even if they have to keep going higher and higher. So, and the Glazers ultimately do want to sell, but also like the idea of staying. So we're actually probably, as ridiculous as it sounds, we're probably where we were in January, February, March, April, and now May. We're no further along. You've got two people who want to buy the club, both confident, both determined, and the Glazers sort of going, ooh, 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 ooh. You know, it's like a siren. Sir Jim's very confident and wants the club. Qatar is confident and want the club. So it could just go on and on and on and on. If we had one person interested, this would have been sorted a long time ago. But the Glazers are just... It's like a game of tennis. It's just serving back and forward, and God knows when it's going to happen. It's ridiculous. Marcus Rashford's back. Obviously, we reported that yesterday. Donny van der Beek is back on the grass. Don't worry, he's not smoking cannabis. Although a lot of people do that legally in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. But he's back on the grass. He's training on the grass, of course. He's not back in physical training. But that is good news. It's good news, isn't it? He's back training. Literally, probably in trainers, on grass, running, turning, stuff like that. And effectively, he'll be back for pre-season, won't he? Because it's the middle of May. Pre-season starts at the start of July. If he's on the grass now, he'll be in the boots training with the lads for pre-season. Which means, if he hadn't had such a bad injury, you could probably be looking to sell him. But the issue they're going to have is, who's going to want to buy a player that's just had a bad injury? But the good thing is that injury happened in January and it's now May. So he's been out for 5 months. Whereas, we never really got the full detail of what it was either. Like, obviously Van Dijk had it, didn't he? Had a cruciate ligament. And we think that's what it was with Donny. We know it was a knee injury. But he's back relatively soon, really, considering that happened in January, middle of May. So February, March, April, May, 4 months. He's back in 4 months. Lingard called out United's fitness gym equipment, calling it outdated. More reasons why we need Qatar. Move it along, says Sakin. Do you happen to see Barella playing the Milan derby? I'd like to see him in our squad next season, says United Av. I do like Barella. And our front three against City should be Garnacho, Rashford and Anthony, says AJ. Well, to be honest with you, I think that Diaz, Stones, Akanji or whoever plays at centre-back would eat Rashford for breakfast. I think you need... I think you need somebody in behind who can hold the ball up, really. Newcastle against Brighton is a 7:30 kickoff. That we're going to be live in about 13 minutes. So I thought it was 8 o'clock, but Robert McCormack let me know it's a 7:30 kickoff. So we will be moving across here to there in a minute because obviously it's a big game. Technically, what do we want in that game, by the way? I was trying to think about this earlier. What do we want? I don't want Liverpool to get top 4. So part of me wants Newcastle to win. But then, if Brighton beat Newcastle and we stumble, we might be able to finish above them. It's an interesting one. I think probably that no result matters to us. Ladios wants a Newcastle loss. Tay wants a draw. Brighton win. I don't think it matters, really, because the destiny is in our hands. Personally, I want us to finish 3rd, Newcastle 4th and Liverpool 5th for obvious reasons. But I don't think Newcastle will win. I think if Brighton turn up, I don't think Newcastle will win. I think they're too good, Brighton. I think they're way too good. So I think it might be a draw or a Brighton win. But that opens the door for Liverpool, of course, which is why we've got to beat Bournemouth on Saturday. Any other news, Mark? Yeah, I was just working through some news, actually. Van der Beek back in training, as we know. There's a story coming out that Manchester United made an inquiry about Crystal Palace centre-back Guehi, who is a good player. He is a good player. I mean, look, I'm not going to make any comments about that because we bought Wan-Bissaka from there, so we could move for him. Ultimately, if Eric Ten Hag wants to spend £50 million on Kim Min-jae or Guehi or Timber, and he picks his player, we should go and buy him. I'm quite relaxed. If he wants Harry Kane, buy Harry Kane. If he wants Guehi, buy him. Maybe we need look, I said it a few weeks ago. Maybe Guehi does make sense because maybe Man United need to buy a few English players for the homegrown rule because basically most of the players we need to get rid of are British. Whether it's McTominay, Maguire, Williams, Henderson. Look, I think they all need to go, but they're all homegrown in a way. So, well, they are. So you have to supplement that, don't you? So maybe we will look at British for more than one reason. Sky are reporting that Lisandro Martinez could well get a new contract after a fantastic first season. Look, we're all fans of Martinez, and he has had a great first season. But I'm not a fan of giving somebody 200 grand a week when you don't need to. But that's business over football, really. I want us to try and get this wage bill down. Hopefully, we've got the people to do that. In other news, don't know what you're going to think about this, but they're saying in France that PSG director Louis Campos has met with Kim Min-jae's agent. No agreement yet. Kim and Victor Osimhen appreciate the Premier League, and Manchester United are interested in both players. I mean, what do you want me to say about that? It's like, we've almost had a week of people going, oh, Kim Min-jae, Kim Min-jae, Kim Min-jae. And I've said, look, I really want Kim Min-jae, but we haven't got an owner. We haven't got a great big budget. And other clubs will look at Kim Min-jae. And, I mean, at the end of the day, piss off PSG. Do you know who's trying to buy us? Your owner's going to be our owner. Piss off and back off. We're in a better league than you. You're in a farmers league. Go and buy somebody else. But that if Sir Jim happens, then we might find that we miss out on loads of players to PSG. So it's all political. Football is politics in relation to transfers. And if Sir Jim gets hold of us, I guarantee you Kim Min-jae and Osimhen and any other player we want's going to PSG because Al-Thani and Qatar will be like, yeah, up yours. But if we get Al-Thani, maybe Kim Min-jae does come to us. But maybe either way he doesn't because we're not really in a position to do transfers and other clubs can. PSG won the French League, not in the Champions League. What else have they got to do in May? Start buying players. Ultimately, that's what's happening. Other clubs haven't got anything else to do other than sort transfers out. Arsenal, not going to win the league, going to finish second. Let's start thinking about next season. That's where we are now. I said this in December. We got to get this deal done by mid-March so we can start prepping for the summer. We haven't got it done by mid-May. Everybody else, they're talking to players. This is our budget. We want you. This is what we're doing. Man United, we can't do it. We don't know what the project... Who's going to sign for Man United when they don't know who the owner's going to be? If it's Qatar, it's very different to Sir Jim, isn't it? So... yeah, it's a worry on transfers, and Kim Min-jae could be another player that just gets ticked off and we miss out on. King says United should play City aggressively like an NBA playoff game. I promise City will relax and think about the final. The key is aggression. There we go. And Fabrizio said United are interested in Maguire plus a 10 million swap deal for James Maddison from Leicester. Do you like the player, says United AV? Well, look, Fabrizio might be right. I don't think James Maddison's the player we need when we've got Bruno Fernandes, Christian Eriksen, Jadon Sancho, and then none of them are going to go in the summer. We need... If I was going to take a Leicester player, I wouldn't take any of them, to be honest. But, we need better than that. Anyway, I'm very aware that the Newcastle game is getting very close to start. So I don't want to just, overstay my welcome. But we will carry on the conversation, of course, over there on That's Football. Manchester United play at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. We then play Thursday against Chelsea, and then the final game is against Fulham on the Sunday. Brighton is the game that is going to be on now, and I'm just going to push you over there, and I'll see you there in 2 minutes' time. Speak to you in a bit. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. Don't forget, Todd, Todd won on our TUS Predictor game last time out, 5,500. He got all 10 questions right on the Predictor game, predicting for the the Wolves against Man United game. You can play it too. You must be over 18 to play, but there is a free one you can play as well. But if you play in the 2,500 pot game, that could go up. That's what Todd won, 5,500. Links in the description. Playing against other United Stand members as well. The great thing is it's only open to the United Stand, so it's not open to the general public. It's just open to the United Stand. So links in the description or scan the QR code. Good luck with that. Todd, you smashed it. I will see you over on the That's Football channel in a couple of minutes for the game against Brighton. However, John has just done a super chat. Patson Daka may be a good option. He played well for Red Bull as well, says John. Yeah, he's not really settled, has he? See you over on That's Football in a minute. Big game, Newcastle-Brighton.